Hello and welcome to Retro Reviews, my channel where I review my favorite retro video games of all time as well as some modern releases I have recently finished. Today I want to look at my top 10 original Xbox games of all time. This is the only Microsoft console I actually own. I missed all the consoles. I wasn't a big Microsoft fan, but I did get a second-hand original Xbox at a thrift shop once. It was a Halo edition. I was kind of excited about it. I wanted to play Conquer Live and Reloaded, and I've got a bunch of other games on like Craigslist and everything, so I could play through a lot of the catalog. And it's a fantastic console. It's still sought after today because of its modding capabilities. It was a really powerful console for when it came out. This was the advent of Xbox Live. This is a really special console for gaming history. So I wanted to go over my favorite games. I want to try and avoid crossover between my favorite games lists, so like my top 10 GameCube games. I don't want to have the same games on my Xbox list, so I'm going to be excluding stuff like Beyond Good and Evil and also Sands of Time. I'm also going to be excluding Conquer Live and Reloaded. Despite Conquer being my favorite Nintendo 64 game, I want to leave it off of this list since it is just a remake of the original, and I didn't like it quite as much as well. So I'm going to be leaving those ones off the list. Some other honorable mentions include Ghost Recon, The Warriors, Chronicles of Riddick, Splinter Cell, Pandora Tomorrow, Burnout 3, and Jade Empire, and Shenmue 2 as well. A couple RPGs that I didn't quite get around to either playing or finishing. But with that out of the way, let's get into the top 10. My number 10 is going to be Pro Skater 3. Now, I love the Tony Hawk franchise. I talked about this, about how Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2 is on my favorite Dreamcast list. I really love the Tony Hawk games, and Pro Skater 3 was kind of the perfect culmination of the series up to that point. And the Xbox version you can play as like Doom Guy as a hidden character, and he's super cool. Everything about Pro Skater 2 that you like is beefed up in Pro Skater 3. They really turn it up to 11 with every single thing, including those hidden characters. I really like what they did, and I think the Xbox is probably the best place to play Pro Skater 3. It's a phenomenal game. It's one of the best skateboarding games out there, and I wish that with the remasters of Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2, we would get a remaster of 3. Hopefully down the line, or we get a reboot of the franchise altogether. Hopefully that comes to fruition at some point. Number 9 is going to be SSX 3. This is a really, really fun snowboarding game. I think my favorite in the entire franchise. You could maybe argue that Tricky is a little bit better, but for my money, I love SSX 3. It's got a beefy story mode, which is kind of funny for a snowboarding game. It's one of the best arcade games that you can play on the Xbox era of consoles. It's so much fun. It's fast. It's frenetic. Has the fantastic trick system and like a boosting system. Everything about this game is stylistic and phenomenal, and I really love revisiting SSX 3. Number 8 on my list is going to be Time Splitters 2. This is one of my favorite first-person shooters. This was a game that I really loved playing with my friends. This was probably one of our favorite party games. And again, this is probably the best played on the Xbox console. It's super fun, has tons of different modes. You have tons of characters to play from. The stupid monkey is one of the most annoying characters in the entire game because he's so small. But it definitely feels like the Golden Eye or Perfect Dark just brought into this current generation of consoles, which is really cool. I really love Time Splitters 2. It has a phenomenal story mode as well. It's a ton of fun. You visit different areas, like different time periods of the world. You have futuristic, you have like Chicago in the 30s. It's just fantastic. I love everything about Time Splitters 2. It's still fun to play to this day. Number 7 is going to be Battlefront 2. Now this one is very classic, one of the best Star Wars games of all time, definitely the best Star Wars multiplayer game of all time. This was kind of one of those games that really propelled Xbox Live. Lots of titles that were kind of elevated by the service. This is definitely one of them. I have some very fond memories playing this locally with my friends. Because I didn't have an original Xbox, I didn't have the chance to play it online, but I had a ton of fun playing locally. This game is chock full of Star Wars references, tons of like wonderful locations. It has great combat. I love this game, and I wish that the modern ports actually got some more love because, oh man, I'd love to try this one online and see what the glory days really felt like. But right now, it's going to land right here. Number 6 is going to be Halo Combat Evolved. I love the original Halo. Funny enough, the first time I played it was on the Mac, of all places. I know it was originally supposed to be a Mac game and then it got bought by Microsoft and everything, but I really love Halo. It's a great franchise, at least the original trilogy especially. I love the idea of Halo. The first game is really a masterpiece. I'm really excited every time I get to play with my buddies. I remember visiting my friend one time, and he was like, why don't we play like old Halo? So I busted out my Xbox, and we played the original Halo and played some fun multiplayer. It's a phenomenal game. And again, with online multiplayer, the maps were really fantastic. The storyline is really great. The gunplay especially feels so solid, even to this day. People love the original Halo, and for good reason, so it's going to be sitting here on my list. Number 5 is going to be Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. For my money, this is my favorite Grand Theft Auto game to this day. Now, I know there's a lot of, like, Grand Theft Auto 5 has so much content in the online mode and everything, but I just really love what San Andreas did for the franchise. Not only did it introduce, like, fully explicit words, like the other ones didn't have the F-bomb up to this point, but it also took the open world aspect and really made it even bigger. You have so much to do. I think CJ is probably the best protagonist in the entire series. I love the environments. I love all the wacky cheats that you can do. This is Grand Theft Auto at its best, in my opinion. It's definitely the best out of the era. So it's going to be sitting here at number 5. Number 4 is going to be Psychonauts. Now, I did a review on Psychonauts fairly recently. I talked about how it is an absolute masterpiece. I gave it a platinum rank on my review. I really love this game. It's wacky. It's weird. It's everything that you love about Tim Schafer's games. It's a really phenomenal think piece, as well as a 2D platformer. It came at a time where platformers were kind of going out of vogue, but this really was still a phenomenal experience, and I love that it got enough love and cult following that a sequel was greenlit, because Psychonauts 2 is also just as good. Number 3 on my list is going to be KOTOR, Knights of the Old Republic. This is one that I did not get around to until very recently, but I had some recommendations about it. I know a ton of people have talked about it being the best Star Wars game, one of the best BioWare games ever. I can see why. This is definitely BioWare at its finest, working really hard to be faithful to the property, being Star Wars here, but also creating a really deep RPG that has so many twists and turns, so many choices you can make. The combat is pretty good. I don't typically like the combat in these style of games, these old RPGs, but honestly, it's pretty fun. It's pretty tactical. It's really interesting. I love the idea of Star Wars much more than I like the movies, but this game really feels like the best of everything Star Wars has to offer. I'm really impressed with what BioWare did with this game, and I can see why people love this original game and why they're so excited about the remake. Hopefully the remake actually comes out at some point and is actually good, because we haven't heard much about it since it got announced several years back. But KOTOR is going to be number 3 on my list right here. Number 2 is going to be Jet Set Radio Future, which is a sequel to Jet Set Radio, a game that I put very high on my Dreamcast list. I love the Jet Set Radio games. I'm super excited that they're rebooting the franchise, and I love Jet Set Radio Future. Again, it does everything that you want from a sequel. It's better looking, it's really fast and fluid, the environments are phenomenal, the music especially is just top tier, as you would expect from a Jet Set Radio game. It's really just everything I loved about the original, just in another new package. So Jet Set Radio Future, I'm sure you probably played it. It came in like a double pack with, I think, Gotham Racing or something like that. Another phenomenal game. But this one was one that a lot of people remember, and I'm so glad that it got into a more mainstream audience, because Jet Set Radio was fairly niche, but the fact that this got an Xbox release and came with another game that people were interested in means it got some more mainstream appeal, and I love that. This game is phenomenal. But number 1 is going to be Halo 2, my favorite Xbox game. Now, I love the original Halo, but Halo 2 just does everything Halo 1 does, but better, in my opinion. It has a better story mode, it has better maps, the multiplayer is phenomenal. I think this probably was my favorite experience I had with the multiplayer. Maybe Halo 3, playing at my friend's house, I really enjoyed that as well, but Halo 2 has a really special place in my heart. I remember going to my friend's house for a sleepover one time. We played through the entire campaign together, and it was an absolute blast. I have very fond memories of this game. I think it's probably my favorite in the entire franchise, so it's going to be sitting here at number 1. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comment section down below if I missed any hidden gems, or if they're your favorite list. I would love to hear about that. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.